Hello guys and welcome to episode 6 of What the Tech. My name is Adam Lobo.
And I'm Lehud on behalf of Said.
Yeah, so Said had an emergency with his family, so he had to skip the podcast last minute. So our thoughts and prayers is towards Said's family because he had a very important emergency. Okay, we're going to dive in straight because today, Lehud, we have lots of very interesting news. More interesting news than the videos that we've been doing. Because for those of you who follow us on Adam Lobo TV, you might notice that we have been slowing down a little on the videos, but we promise you next week is going to be lots of videos coming up. We do have 3 main news that we're going to talk about. And for this week onwards, we are going to have one specific question, which is based on the community question. So for example, for the question of the week is that should smartphone companies skip flagships every single year because of the incremental updates that we've been having? Not for everybody, because people like the Vivos and the Huaweis of the world still do a very good job every single year. But we are talking specifically from brands like iPhones, the Google Pixels and the Samsungs of the world. So we do have some great feedback coming from you all, which is great. But let's first dive into the first news for today, Lehud.
Okay.
So what is the first news we have? Apparently we have a very interesting foldable which has been unveiled.
Yeah, the first news is like OPPO N5 Fold, is it? Looks like it's the thinnest foldable in the world right now, right?
Exactly. And so Oppo's biggest strength when releasing foldables has been the crease. Their Find N series has always been great on making the creases almost invisible, because that seems to be the biggest complaint from a lot of people talking about the crease. Why is the crease there? Some people cannot live with it. My point about the crease is that, just like when you fold money, there's going to be a crease, so it's okay.
Yes.
But the way Oppo has done it is very, very well. And based on our first impressions, which we are going to be releasing an unboxing video as soon as you watch this video, because this is going to be out on Saturday night. It is Friday right now. What is your first impressions on this Oppo Find N series of the foldable when you first hold it?
For me, it's like the first impression is like it looks as every Oppo phones ever. It looks clean. Maybe the design, the colors, the color they picked up, and I think the experience of unfolding feels more secure and I would say snappy. It's not in the bad way, but it's like securely. You can securely fold and unfold. If I were to compare with Samsung, I would say Samsung feels like stiff a bit compared to this Chinese foldable, I would say, or it's like aside Samsung. Their foldables feels like more snappy, and for me, the crease is not that visible. It's just okay. Unless you like put it direct under sunlight or source of light, then you'll see the crease. So overall, I think from my perspective, from my impression of the first time I held it, it's gonna be not as straight to say it's like foldable of the year, I would say.
I am actually with you on that in terms of how premium it feels and how it, when you just unfold it, it does feel great. Now, it's not as mind-blowing as the Huawei Mate X-T with 3 screens.
Yeah, trifold.
But there's something about the Find N5 whereby when you open it, it feels good. Even when I unbox it. Speaking of unboxing, because like I said, the video will be out. I like the fact that they include a case. And because you all know, especially me, I love white. I like the white color case and the way when you put the case on to the back of the phone, you cannot take it out easily. And Oppo has done white color smartphones the best, right? The Find X8 Pro was good. Right now, when I saw the white color, which is called Misty White, and there's also the Cosmic Black or something like that, which looks good. I don't know how Oppo does this, but they've always done a very good job when really making the crease invisible because it is so unseen. Like you cannot see it in a naked eye properly unless like, if you're really looking for it.
Yeah.
It's same like how, if you see something and then there's a dot and then you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
But I think that they've done a very good job. Now, for those of you who are watching this globally, the OPPO version of this Find N is similar to the OnePlus version of the foldable. So what happens is that globally, it's released as a OnePlus foldable. And then for certain markets is the OPPO. What's interesting is that might not be the case this year because they are doing a global launch as opposed to doing typically on a Find N. We will talk about the global launch later on. But I think one of the main things that OPPO has done here is to make foldables feel premium, not make it feel like it's very fragile.
Yeah.
And like what you said, it is so thin that you'll be questioning whether or not it's actually a phone. Let's talk about the cameras. I know we didn't get the chance to try it, but we all know that foldables compromise on cameras.
Yes.
From your opinion, why do you think that a lot of brands don't care about cameras on foldable? That you notice that's the case, right? So what is your opinion on that?
I think that's the case for like, I would say it's like 1-2 years ago, but recently they've been stepping out a lot because recently we did a video of the Huawei Mate XT, the trifold, and I was quite surprised on the output of the camera. They seems like the foldables camera is up to par, up to the Pura level already. So I would say they started to care and they know it's like people paying this such premium price, they have to get that level of quality. And I think this OPPO N5, Fold N5 will have the same camera quality as the flagship, I would say. And I think this one, we go back a bit from before you say about the case, right? Because I did the video on both the trifold case and the OPPO N5 fold case. I would say the OPPO's case fits much better. I think you try it too, right?
Yeah,
it
you're
just
right.
fit much better. Right?
I totally agree because when we did the unboxing on the Huawei Mate X6 and the XT, the way that the cover felt at the back, to a point where when we were shooting the unboxing, I was trying to remove the cover and it was very difficult to do so, which is good because it's something which is very good when it comes to a foldable. Another very interesting fact is that not only that this is going to be the thinnest foldable out there, but also when you unfold, it's also the biggest screen, right?
Yes.
But one of my biggest problems with foldables in general, honestly, is the speakers.
Oh.
Because I can kind of understand that the reason why is because, it's so thin, you cannot like put like a crazy speaker driver inside. But I totally agree with you that gone are the days that cameras does not do very well on a foldable right now. At least they're taking that seriously.
Yes.
So the question is that, Huawei has done a triple foldable. Do you think OPPO is going to do their own trifold? Since, it's all within the market, right? It's the Chinese market. So if Huawei can do it, do you think that OPPO can release their own trifold?
Yes, definitely. Because from their side of just like the Chinese manufacturer, they are so competitive. It's just the matter of time. I would say it's like give them like half or 1 year something. It will definitely happen. It will become the norm because back in the days we laugh at triple camera, quadruple camera. See now, it's became a norm already.
But speaking of being a norm, I'm sure you remember this because you have been in the industry for quite a while. Remember OPPO had a rollable smartphone? The rollable display?
Yes.
They were the first one who did it. I remember I went to the office and, I remember Amans was there, Effie and all was there. I was surprised that nobody made that something which is, because it was kind of cool because you kind of roll like from a regular phone and then it like unrolls into a longer form factor or a wider form factor. Why do you think that the rollable smartphone did not kickstart as good as how the foldable ones did?
For me, it's not about just the product. It's about the after sales. If like they have like defects or it's like need repairs, I don't think stuff like that would benefit them, or it's like maybe a much more huge liability for them. So I think the readiness to be available in the market is not there yet.
Very good point, because readiness is a super good point. I had this conversation with one of the guys from Aperture, Southeast Asia, and we were having this conversation about how certain brands doesn't innovate, like how Apple takes their time to innovate on stuff.
Yes.
Every time when I tell people why, it's mainly because of the fact that the readiness, like what Lehod has mentioned, because it's not easy to just come up with something new. You need to have the demand as well. So I guess the whole rollable thing might be something which is a bit more complicated compared to a foldable. And you notice every single time when we review a foldable, it's always about hinge, advanced this. They really talk a lot about that. And we as reviewers, we need to talk about that. Although it sounds a bit boring, but I guess that is actually very good. Now, if you were Samsung, would you freak out the fact that there's a trifold? And would you freak out the fact that right now OPPO is doing a very good job with their foldable? So if you're in Samsung's shoes right now, how would you react to what's happening right now?
For me, it's like now I wouldn't say I'm panicked because Samsung is good at what they do. You know, it's like yes, there are many foldable phones, but Samsung is excelling at their software.
Agreed.
Which is their dual display is very usable and practical in terms of practicality and their OS. So if I was Samsung, I definitely wouldn't freak out, but I would say I will find a way to innovate to the trifold maybe. Then just like what I said before, it's all about the readiness and what will you offer with the three screen. Actually, I'm sure they will come up with something more innovative.
This is a very good point. I think before they even come up with a trifold, I think what Samsung needs to do is to probably really give a hardware change. I wouldn't say improvement, because I don't think there's anything wrong with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. I think they just need to have a very significant change, which brings us to the topic later on, which we're going to talk about how should companies release flagship every single year? Because if it's going to be incremental updates, then you might as well don't, right? Before they even come with something like a trifold, I think they just need to improve the overall design aspect of it, not make it too long. Maybe they should make it a bit more like a phone, a bit more square kind of design, more like a real candy bar shaped smartphone. The crease is something that, it's about time they do something about it, because previously it seems impossible. But if Huawei can do it on the Mate XT to have 3 screens to open and make it so nice, I think that once Samsung nails those areas, because software has been the best. Yes. And that's the reason why people always go out of the way and always get Samsung devices, whether or not it's a foldable or a flagship. I think once they improve that level of everything, then it should be great. So great points, which has been talked about on the OPPO Find N5. Now, we will be doing a hands-on video, which is coming up next week, which we'll talk about later on as well. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hello and welcome once again. This is called What the Tech Podcast, whereby we talk about certain things that is happening in the tech industry, which may not necessarily need a video by its own. So we are here to discuss. If you have any questions or if you want to participate in these particular discussions, feel free to comment in the comment section below on this particular video, or you can head on to our YouTube community page where we do have some questions asked every Wednesday as well. Okay, so that would be for OPPO. So now, Mr. Tim Cook, gave us a very pleasant surprise. So what is the surprise and what exactly did he tweet it?
Get ready to meet the newest member of the family. Apple typical style, they just post like critics, short video or things like that. Got people imagination go wild.
Yeah. So what is your imagination based on what Tim Cook has posted?
To be honest, I'm not that big of Apple fanboy, but I do use Apple and iPhone and Mac for the longest time. From what I read, they say it's like a iPhone SE and MacBook Air M4, just because M4 Pro have been released. So yeah, I think I'm more excited if the iPhone SE is real, because
Okay.
I love the small.
Yeah, you like the small form factor. For me, usually when they show this kind of visuals, we can be Eric Voss from New Rockstars and say, okay, so this one represents everything. But just by what Tim Cook has posted, I can't even guess what that is. It just looks like an Apple logo with some beveled, nice design, looks very metallic. The iPhone SE is rumored to come, so you are right about that. We don't know whether that is for sure. There's also the rumored M4 MacBook Air. There's also another rumor which might or might not happen, is that they might come up with their more affordable version of the Vision Pro. We do not know that's going to happen. Maybe it's just called Apple Vision. Because what's interesting is that Tim Cook has said that meet the newest member of the family. So if you're going to say newest member of the family, I have a very strong feeling, just my feeling is that it might be something
New device.
I mean, it's a totally new device or new segment, because the SE have been around for the longest time. I wouldn't call the M4 MacBook Air a new member of the family. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that there's going to be that one more thing that is going to be totally new. We didn't get any official invites to go to Apple Park or Cupertino, which means that most probably it's just going to be an online event. But it's very rare that Apple introduces a brand new device on an offline event or an online event only. So this is something which is actually very exciting. So besides the affordable version of the Vision Pro, I don't know what else. Do you have any ideas that?
That's why I'm about to ask you. Okay, if they were to introduce new device, let's say they have like watch, glass. What else could it be? It's like, what are the things we use in daily life, right?
Well, we did have a topic
Yes.
about foldables. Who knows? Suddenly out of nowhere, but we do have like a lot of leakers and a lot of news outlets like Mark Gurman and all who have not mentioned anything about that, about how there could be a foldable. I think it's too soon.
Yeah.
But besides the more affordable Vision or Apple Vision, I don't see any other product. I would love to be surprised, because we have not seen a very interesting surprise. I guess because all these people who come up with all the leaks and rumors are so out there. So sometimes I wish that I don't know all of this stuff, but it's our job. We need to know all of this stuff. But I'm trying to understand. And yeah, you put back the question to me, because I also don't know, right?
Something sparked in my head, because I watched the Mark Zuckerberg podcast where he mentioned about like Apple don't want to share the protocol with Ray-Ban Meta for the posting or something like that. For you, is it possible for Apple to come out with something like Ray-Ban Meta?
You got a very good point.
Yeah.
Because what happened is that I think a couple of weeks ago, Syed wrote an article about how there was rumors about how they shut down that particular production. That means that they said they're not going to do it anymore. But then again, who knows, they might come up with it. Because I was late to the game. The only reason why I got the Meta Ray-Ban glasses is because I don't have any sunglasses. And I was in the US and it was going for a very good price when I went for Unpacked. So I said, yeah, I'm just going to get it. it's something whereby it's not really AR because you're not seeing anything in front. But I think tying within the ecosystem is good because currently, like the Meta Ray-Ban, you have the Hey Meta, whereby, see what you see, taking a picture and stuff. And if you post it on Instagram, it tells it made for Meta. It'll be cool that, and I think Apple can execute that so much easier compared to coming up with a brand new AR glasses. You're right, that could be one of the things which is actually available specifically for that. So yeah, that could be that. And I guess we all have to wait and see because the event, the dates exactly mentioned by Mr. Tim Cook is on Wednesday, February 19, which means that Lihood and I won't be sleeping. That's the reason we have the Wiz room.
Yes.
Whereby, Lihood can go there, or when Jefferson comes down again, he can stay there.
Yeah.
Okay. Third and final tech news of the week. We still do have a discussion. So what's the third tech news that we have, Lihood?
Okay, Apple TV is now available on Android finally. So I don't know who's watching Apple TV. The only thing I watch on Apple TV is Ted Lasso. That's all.
Okay.
So
do you think that this is gonna open new viewers on the Android platform? And do you think that is this something whereby a lot of Android users have actually asked for it specifically?
actually, it's actually smart because there are some people who use Android but subscribe to Apple Music, right? If they subscribe to Apple One, automatically they can watch Apple TV, if not mistaken, right?
Very good point.
I think in terms of like value for money for those kind of guys, it's a huge benefit for them.
Got it.
And some I don't know if you noticed, but quality on the Apple TV is quite better more than Netflix also.
I totally agree with you. In terms of quality, Apple TV's overall optimization is great. That's why, like last week when we talked about the Sonos Android box, even before it's out, I'm already feeling very skeptical. Speaking of which, I had a conversation with Uma from Goggler, and he was saying about how his Sonos Play Bar, the first version, doesn't connect to his speakers anymore. So he's just chilling there. Poor guy, spent so much money and it's not working. This is the first generation Play Bar.
Play Bar is
the old is like a sound bar, but it's the first generation. It's black in color.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I had it, but it's not with me anymore. Yeah. But what is very sayang is the fact that it doesn't work for him anymore. We are planning to do a video on a comparison between the Sonos Arc and the Arc Ultra, which we are getting Uma, want to get Shufe to also come because she's a huge movie goer. So stay tuned for that video as well. But yeah, I think for Android users, I don't know any specific Android users who came up to me and say, hey, I wish that Apple TV is on an Android device. But it's nice that it's there.
Yeah.
It opens a new horizon for people who want quality. Yes. I think having Apple TV as an overall interface is also very, very beautiful.
Yes.
And it makes your dumb TV smart. Like this particular TV was a friend's TV. And because we just connected an Apple TV, it becomes a smart TV. And that's how Apid is doing the whole wireless thing, right? Yes. In terms of shows, I'm with you because you and I, we got no time to watch shows. So I think that's the wrong people to ask.
Yes.
I watched Ted Lasso. I loved the show. I watched the whole season, like all of the season twice, and I'd hardly do that. I haven't watched Severance. I know they're pushing season 2.
I don't even know what is that.
Yeah, so Severance is... So Apple has a lot of Apple-produced, Apple TV kind of content.
Yeah.
I guess this goes within the realm of Syed and Uma of the world because Adam and Lihood hardly watches TVs.
Yes.
But I think it's good to open up that and for people to know the difference between what Apple quality is.
Yes.
And since they have been producing their own TV shows, their own movies, I think it's nice to just also broaden the horizon. Because if you notice that whenever we go for a Huawei global event, you and I, what happens is that, in case you all did not know, that the global team, like when they do a lot of networking tests and all, they use things like the Apple Vision Pro. Like remember we saw the Apple Vision Pro that used the Meta. So I'm glad that Apple is actually embracing the Android world, so it doesn't really seem like it's fully only okay, look, only iPhone users or iPad users or Mac can use Apple TV. It's good that it's available on Android for the sake of people consuming more media on Apple TV.
Right.
And who knows, that could be a way where people go like, oh, I didn't know it's so nice. Then I could probably get an Apple TV box, or I could probably go into the Apple ecosystem a bit more. And I think this is not very typical of what Apple usually does. But I really welcome the fact that they're actually going to have this on an Android device, which is actually really, really amazing. So that would be for that. Before we go into the community segment, we have 3 very exciting things next week, which is going to make the whole entire team super busy. I am at this week and I'm already feeling, oh my God, next week is going to be madness.
Yes.
First and foremost, the Huawei Mate XT, the global launch will be on the 18th of February. Now, this is a global launch that is happening in Malaysia, which is very interesting because the global team from Huawei also reached out because they are having a very interesting tech event which is happening in MyTech again. So if you're from Malaysia, I'm sure you're familiar. But if you're not from Malaysia, the MyTech is actually like your exhibition center in Malaysia. So that is happening on the 18th of February. So both Lehut and I are going to be on ground for that. Apple's online event is coming on the 19th of February, US time. So it's going to be on the 20th. Speaking of the 20th, the OPPO Find N5 global launch will be on the 20th of February in Singapore. So I spoke to MJ or Michael Josh from Gadget Match. He's going to be there. I know a lot of YouTubers who travel a lot. They're going to be there. I won't be there in Singapore. The reason being because I have a workshop for Google here in Malaysia. That's one of the reasons why I'm not going for that. But we are glad that we have the devices over here. But yeah, so next week is going to be a lot of news. So make sure to not only subscribe to Adam Lobo TV, but of course to check out our daily tech news at site rights at www.adamlobo.tv as well. So that is where we can actually get all of this stuff. It's going to be a very packed week, not only for the whole entire team, but everybody who is within the tech scene. All right, let's go into the community segment. So probably you can read out what is the question that we have asked. And so what was the question?
Okay, the question is, should smartphone companies release flagships every year, or they should skip it at least once every year? Why?
Okay, before we give our thoughts, let's read the comments, because there's nothing like reading some comments, and some of the comments are very interesting. Yes. So we do have a total of 79% at the time of this recording to say that yes, skip, and then 21% says nope. Every year they want a new phone. So there are a total of 9 different comments. We have the first comment coming from HMan1801. He said that they would save money and demand, and the demand would be higher when they did release them. So that is one comment. Another comment is that I have just one question. So this is a little unrelated, but I guess related in a way. I have 8 gigabytes of RAM with 256 gigabytes of the S23 Ultra. Do I need an upgrade yet? So that is already a question by itself. We got this fella who seems very pissed off. We always get angry comments. Victor Rutumo 7244, he said, even with the S25 series, with its crappy upgrades, still a little better products than the S24 series at around the same price at launch. So yes, I wouldn't buy the S25 series if I had the S24 series, but it's better to buy the S25 series compared to the S24 series if I had the iPhone 16. So that was like a sidekick to Apple and iPhone, so fine. Alexandra says, I'm rocking S23 FE Samsung. I don't play games or do any heavy tasks. Honestly, I don't see any reason to switch to a different phone unless they give me a crazy new feature like free satellite calls. Like seriously, a little bit of camera, a little bit faster processor is simply not enough these days. The person named The Goat, nobody cares. If you didn't care, you won't comment, bro. But it's okay. Thank you for comment. We appreciate that. But okay, it seems like you actually care. Yeah. And then we have Coffee Cake. He said, I don't think many of us are able to afford flagship these days. The only people making money here is the telco companies keep renewing the contract once you bought a phone. Very interesting insight with them and exchanging new devices with them every single year. So before I give my thoughts about this, first, is it a yes or no for you?
I feel if from my perspective as a consumer, yes, they should skip because the upgrades were incremental, and I think it's like it's putting pressure on them to right. They it's like nowadays the flagship have gone to the peak. There's so little things to be improved. So I would say if they skip a year, it's like I would say only release it once in 2 years would be better from my perspective. But I get the point that they're doing business, right? Like what the last comment says, they earning from the telco, which is right because telco have this kind of plan who you pay, you can change phone every year, right? That's how they make money, right? So yeah, in terms of business, yes, they have to release each year for the sake of, I think.
But if it's not business, from your opinion, you feel that that should not be the case.
Yeah, they should just skip, I would say, because me myself, I'm still using iPhone 15 and it's still okay.
Okay.
So I like what you always say in your review. You always upgrade when it's like you using like last 2 years or last 3 years device, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you should just keep updates yearly, I think.
But let me be the devil's advocate here, right? Advocate here, right? Jefferson's going to correct my English after this. Let me be the devil's advocate here. How is it that the Vivos and the Oppos of the world can come up with smartphones every year and they come up with significant upgrades every year as well? So if you're saying that we should skip 1 year, then why is especially the Chinese makers, they can do it every year with quite significant changes, especially for Huawei, for example. So how would you react if that's happening for them?
For me, it's good for them, but I stand for it because me, myself, I won't upgrade every year, right? And I feel like if they skip the releasing of yearly flagship, there will be like much huge improvement, and I think I would say they on the release day will be more hype. It's like, oh, you haven't seen a new phone in 2 years, right? People will be hungry to buy, I think.
I get what you mean, and I think if you ask my specific opinion on this, I feel I stand firm also with what I said, that people should only change their phone every 2 years. That is true. But at the same time, there are those ballers who like to buy phones every single year just for the sake of showing that. It doesn't work for the iPhone specifically, because if you want a baller with a new phone, but if you're going to look the same for the past 3 years, 4 years, what's the point? I feel tired when there's new phones coming out where there's not so much. Because when we produce a video, we would be awesome to know there's some changes, so that when I'm sitting down there scripting and talking about it, at least there's some level of changes. So it does feel a little demotivating when there's not so much of a changes. I personally change every year because I'm a tech reviewer. Otherwise, I would be in the same boat as Said and Apit and Lihud and everybody else in the team, because of the fact that we don't really need to change. I am leaning towards that on a laptop. So like, for example, I still really love my M3 Max MacBook Pro. Yeah. And although we do have the M4 Pro, I do use it. But if I really had, I just want one machine where I've installed all the plugins for Final Cut Pro and stuff, I actually am very happy with my M3 M3 Max MacBook Pro. I feel that if you really ask me that question, as Adam, I'll point a gun at you and say, you know what, choose 2 years or 1 year. I'm going to be voting for yes, they should skip. Because if the same could be done for tablets, So like for example, like the iPad or even Samsung Tab, like there's certain years where they never release it. Why can't you do the same for smartphones? Business is correct. The whole telco thing. So yeah, you're right. The comment over there was very interesting. The coffee cake. So huge shout out to you, coffee cake. I want to say copy cake, because the fact that that is something whereby it is a little interesting because we didn't kind of realize that insight until that was mentioned. So yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. But if the Apples and the Googles and the Samsungs of the world, who are the ones who hardly do huge upgrades, I don't know whether they're going to lose a lot of business, but I feel like they will gain back after the 2 years. Your idea of, this year there's no iPhone, then the next is going to have an iPhone. That's lovely. And it's going to make people a bit more eager.
Yes.
And whether or not you're a tech fan or not, I think it will give us that excitement.
Yes,
So
correct.
so what's new, right?
I mean, like if they don't want to release it yearly, like it's like macam maybe they can release like okay, this year we're releasing like normal flagship. The next year we're releasing like foldable flagship.
Like they
would say-
skip it.
Yeah, it's
That's a
it's-
good suggestion.
because people don't have to like chasing to buy the same. They like both phone, but maybe they can buy like different year.
Either that or they should rename the incremental changes to S models. So remember like last time you had
Yes,
your...
I think that's a good one too lah.
Right.
Probably.
So I think at least then people's expectations can be a little lower, because if you're going to change the number like from 10 to 11 instead of saying 10S, like how it was last time, then probably we can accept that. Or probably people can learn to accept that. But yeah, I feel it should be done so that we have more stronger more stronger updates rather than very much incremental when it comes to that as well. So yeah, I think that is our answer. Now, if you did not participate in the poll, be sure to head to our YouTube community page, put your vote over there and let us know whether or not you prefer to skip. And next week, Apit came up with a very interesting question a couple of days ago. So probably you'll be asking that question. If you want to know what is that exact question, make sure to stay tuned once again on the website. And if you guys are listening right now, the good news is that the podcast is available not only on YouTube to see our faces, but also on every single audio platform. So whether or not it's Apple Podcasts, that annoying Spotify, you can actually get all of the podcasts when it comes to audio and also on video as well. Okay, let's go into the week's videos. Since you were in charge of doing the S25 Ultra, what are your thoughts about that phone in a nutshell? Since I think it was just me and Sai talking most of the time, what do you think what is your overall impressions? Did you really like the S25 Ultra, and do you think that it is a phone that is going to last the whole entire year being one of the best? The reason why I say that is because the S24 Ultra, again, as usual, every single year they release it early of the year.
Yes.
But at the end of the year, most YouTubers, like even MKBHD, Super Saf and all, they still call it one of the best phones. What's interesting is that they always release it the beginning of the year.
Yes.
And even at the end of the year, it becomes one of the best battery smartphones. Do you think that the S25 Ultra is going to be the same, that is going to last throughout the year to be one of the best Android flagships?
For me, yes, because I would say the design is nice. I'm one of the person who's like, oh, this is just on paper incrementals. But after I use it in real life, I feel like it's a very good phone. If you don't have the S24 Ultra.
Yes.
So it is very, I would say it will last till the end of the year, because knowing Samsung, they are very like generous with the updates. The new One UI 7, right, is so clean, and the new Gemini Live and all those fancy AI abilities or functions is very practical and useful. So I would say yes. And personally, if I don't have to use an iPhone for my work, I would change to the phones definitely.
Nice. For me, I've said it in the in-depth review that one of the biggest takeaways of the S25 Ultra is the fact that it's super light. I'm also rocking it without a case. I'm planning to give back the review unit and make a purchase of the white color because I love the white color as usual. But it's the screen, bro. Oh my God.
Yeah, the screen is
The
one of the best.
S25 Ultra screen, hands down the best smartphone screen for year 2025. And every single year, the screen just looks better and better. Just when you think that a Samsung flagship smartphone screen won't look better than how it can be, because you'll be like, okay, this is the best. And then next year, it's like, how else can it improve? But they've done it again. And the anti-glare technology.
Yeah.
I don't understand why other Android smartphones do not follow what Samsung is doing over here, because it's so nice to a point whereby like you can just use the phone in a super bright daylight, or you can use it in a very bright environment, no reflection. You can watch in every angle. It's honestly like a TV shrunk into a very small device. Camera wise, we are planning to do an in-depth review of the camera to test out the log recording. The log recording is so good, even the stabilization. One thing which is very interesting, which is a spoiler alert of the video, is the fact that you could record log 120 FPS 4K, which is mind-blowing because some other cameras like the Sony A1 who records on 8K, it totally overheats. So for me, I have that confidence that the S25 Ultra is going to be staying on throughout the whole year to be one of the best flagships, similar to what the S24 Ultra. Final question about the S25 Ultra. Be honest. I mean, you're honest anyway. Did the effect of removing the Bluetooth affected you personally, or do you know anybody else who was affected with the removal of the Bluetooth within the S Pen? Because for me, during my 2 weeks of using it daily, surprisingly, although I was disappointed at first, I didn't take out the S Pen at all. I was like, oh my God, when I was writing my script, I was like, yeah, I didn't take it out. So what is your opinion from your usage perspective? Or did you come across anybody who felt like that was a huge bummer now?
I think it's not a huge factor for me. It doesn't affect me much, but I know personally some person who use that kind of feature is like for the shutter, shutter button and all that. For me, it's just small thing because let's say if you usually use that for taking pictures, you still have the gesture and all
Exactly.
that. So I would say it's okay. It just makes sense, and feels like the S25 will do just fine. And to add like a bit from your point, like you say is like, will it continue to be the best till the end of the year? I feel like the one thing, and maybe like one or two things that won't win Samsung as the smartphone of the year is the charging capabilities and their photo apps. I would say camera lacking those fancy filters function.
Oh yeah, good point.
So I think if Samsung can add those two easily, they will be easily the phone.
You're right,
of the
because like the Xiaomi's of the world, they have the Leica filters
Yes,
and then the Hasselblad filters, which you might think that you don't use it, but ever since Apple introduced the photographic styles, I use it a lot. You got a point. One thing which I also was trying to understand is that, because a lot of people ask us as YouTubers and reviewers, so I'm going to throw that question to you. If someone who is using the S23 Ultra, do you think they should go with a cheaper alternative of the S24 Ultra or the S25 Ultra? What is your opinion?
I asked them what they usually use for the device. If you say recording video, of course, S25 Ultra, no question, because the lock capabilities is insane, and just like you can just adjust the color correct and poof, it becomes like, oh wow, you calibrate it already, right? It's a huge feature for me. But if you say if he or she just a multitasker, I would say S24.
That's a very good point. Although, we didn't discuss this beforehand, but I am totally agreeing with him on that as well. Okay, upcoming videos. So that was the S25 Ultra. If you guys haven't watched the video, be sure to check it out. A lot of engagements going over there. A lot of people like what they see. They are giving their thoughts. And yeah, that is something which we always very much appreciate. Upcoming videos will be first hands-on impression of the OPPO Find N5. That will be released as soon as the global launch, so stay tuned for that. And the Huawei Mate XT as well. There'll be an event that both Lihun and I will be covering during the event as well. Yes. So that is something which you can also check out during next week's release. It's funny because last week when we had this conversation with Said and I said that what do we have next week? We didn't know what's going to happen next week. So that's the thing. Next thing you know, we are here talking about a lot of stuff which is happening this week. And next week is going to be even more. So stay tuned for that. And of course, upcoming videos will be what exactly Apple released during the 20th of February event earlier mentioned, which is, of course, our Malaysian time, not 19 as well. So with that, we'd like to say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Adam Lobo TV, whether or not it's our reviews or if you enjoy our What the Tech episodes. If you guys are listening the whole entire podcast on an audio level, make sure to also subscribe on each of those platforms again. My name is Adam Lobo.
And I'm Lehut.
And we will see you guys next week.